Tale as old as time. Well, as old as the internet and Google, that is. You're in the market for a service and are vetting someone to hire. Google helps you find a handful of companies that have decent reviews, so you dig a little deeper into their websites. One website looks like it's from the 90s, and according to their visitor counter, you're number 33,000 and something, so they're out of the running. The second website has great reviews, but it's all stock photos and you can't really tell who you'd be working with. And then you find it. The third website looks professional. You see personable photos of the owner in the About page and throughout the website. And bonus, you see photos of the service in action with the owner in them, hands-on working. Impressed with the effort they put into their brand presence, you inquire for their services. Someone who puts this much effort into their brand must be just as great to work with, right? This search sounds very familiar, huh? Because we all do it, including those who are visiting your website right now. Are you presenting yourself and your brand well in your potential clients' eyes? Brand photography is there to capture the attention and leave a positive impression of your brand with those coveted website visitors. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 fundamental components of good brand photos. Hi there, I'm Emily of Emily Marcella for Creative Brands, a Northern Virginia brand photographer. I help women in business show up in their brands with intentional marketing imagery aimed to connect with their ideal audience. Today we're going to break down the 3 fundamental components of images that make up an effective library of brand photos. These are super simple components, and yet more often than not, brands don't have these images on their website or in their marketing. The very first fundamental component to brand photos, your brand photos should show who you are. We're not peeling back the layers into your personality or those quirky elements that make up who you are quite just yet. Your brand photos should literally show you the person running the business. So why so simple? Because we've all been there, looking to hire a service and we cannot for the life of us actually identify who runs the business, or we see one small headshot photo used over and over. Sound harsh? Hang in there with me. Audiences want to connect with you the service provider. By simply taking photos of yourself and using them in your marketing, you will see increased engagement. In the beginning of building my business, one piece of advice really stood out to me. Show up in your top 9 on Instagram. There should be a picture of you in those first posts a viewer would see when they discover you. And truly, the same advice could go for any marketing effort you create. Show up where new viewers will see you. A few examples of this: on your website, show up on every page so your visitors builds up a familiarity. In your printed materials, have at least one high-quality polished photo of yourself. Online profiles, whether it's social media or an account avatar or your email account, use a photo of yourself. And in social media, obviously incorporate yourself into the content you share. I highly suggest that you stop using your logo as a profile picture. The more times a potential client sees your likeness, the more likely they are to remember you. Later in this video, we'll dive into version 2.0 of how your brand photos should show who you are. The second fundamental component, brand photos should show what you do. Did you just hear that and think, oh, that is so super obvious? Well, yes, you're right. That is very obvious to you and I who are thinking about branding in small business all the time. However, is what you do obvious to your ideal client? We need to view your brand and your branding photos through your ideal client's eyes. So when they're sifting through a handful of service providers who all generally do the same thing, don't you think that clean, professional images of you doing what you do best would be the reason for a viewer to pause and look around a little longer? The longer they stay on your website, the better chances they'll inquire for your services. Work with your photographer to find creative ways to show what you do in your brand session. And here are a few simple areas to consider when planning. For props, incorporate the tools of the trade even when they seem wildly obvious. For your location, allow potential clients to see themselves working with you in a space where they'd be: a salon, in-home, an office space, bakery, etc. Do you work directly on or with your clients? Bring in a pseudo client to get those happy interactions and detailed hands-on shots. Those who are searching for a service provider will be very discerning in their efforts. Sometimes it's as simple as showing you and what you do in those images on your website that will generate that coveted conversion. Let's think about the images you share online. Can the viewer identify who you are and what you do? If you hesitated to say yes, then it's time to schedule a brand photo session. Are you in the DC area? I'd love to connect with you. Follow the link in the description to send a note. Now, if you said yes to that question, or you're just curious about what the next fundamental element is, then I'm here to tell you your brand photo should show how you do what you do. Now that we've established that your brand photo should identify you as the business owner and visually identify what it is that you do in your business, it's important to show how you do what you do. So how do we bring about the how in your brand photos? 2 suggestions for this one. The very first one, I recommend illustrating the client's experience through your process. To figure this out, look at how you would interact with them from the time they've indicated that they want to work with you through the conclusion of your services. Each step along the way is something to illustrate. Second, I would dive into the behind the scenes, those moments where you're working to provide the best possible service and yet no one ever sees your hard work. Spend some time thinking about where you bring your creative talents into the mix. Maybe you're journaling ideas, sourcing materials, assembling a mood board, etc. Why is it important to show how you do what you do? These are the images that will reinforce the brand message and distinguish you from other similar businesses. As your audience continues to see how you provide your services, you'll earn their trust. There is one element that I would like to circle back to and discuss further. I save this for the end because this is the element where brands get hung up on, and that is showing who you are in a deeper sense, version 2.0 if you will. The hang-up is trying to distinguish yourself so much that you lose the simplicity of just showing up in your brand. Your audience connected with your brand because your service likely solves a problem that they have. However, they're likely to continue to follow you because they've connected with you, the person behind the brand, in some way. And before you start packing up your favorite mugs, your DVD box set of Grey's Anatomy, any other thing that kind of brings out your personality, sharing a deeper version of who you are can be much simpler. One of my favorite questions to ask in my brand planning call is, how do you want your clients to feel when they see your brand? It's time to take those emotions and reflect them on your personal brand photos. Brand experience is largely shaped by how you make your client feel. How others feel when they're around you is a good reflection of who you are. If you want your clients to feel relaxed and confident in their decision to hire you, utilizing inviting emotions and approachable posing is key. Want your clients to feel fired up and ready to dive in working with you? Bursting smiles and open body language will get them revved up. It's also fair to look at your raving reviews and figure out the emotions your clients felt during their time working with you. Turns out if they're happy and sharing their experience with the world, future clients will want to feel the same positive emotions too. There is no denying we're all looking to understand and connect with the person behind the small business when we're hiring. So don't you think we owe it to our potential clients to show up in our own brand? As you're planning for brand photos, always come back to the fundamental 3 elements. Show who you are, what you do, and how you do it. From there, you'll be able to authentically market your business with intention. The authenticity will foster connection with your ideal audience. They'll easily be able to see themselves working with you and feel emotions you want them to experience. Ready to ditch your assortment of generic photos you've gathered over the years? Then it's time for brand photos. You're doing great things for your business and your brand. Be sure to hit subscribe to be notified when new videos become available. I look forward to connecting with you, so give me a follow on Instagram so I can cheer you along on your business journey.